Greeting. There we go. All right, nothing's wrong with your streaming. It's all good. Just want to give you some spookiness here. Greetings and welcome to the 2021's Halloween live stream, pre-Halloween live stream. We have all made it this far on Earth. So congratulations and huzzah to you. We are live, and let me get my notes ready because this is a top 10 type of video, so it's going to be up for a while, so I don't want to get off track and get too crazy here. So I have my notes. We're going to be talking about... Let me see how everything's going. You guys hear me all right? Let me know. Okay, so got my notes. So everything's a little bit more articulated. I don't want to start repeating words because that's what happens when you start talking about your passion, stuff you love. You start to repeat like things like awesome or particular things that you like about something. All right, cool. You're all right. I can hear you. Thank you, Bendy. All right, so here we go. I'm going to be talking about the top 10. Let me see. I think my final title that I went with was Top 10 Horror Movies You Must See. My recommendations. This is a very personal list and just movies I want you to see, I think you should see, and movies that I think if you see, you will better understand my kind of taste. So, you know, if you're ever wondering about a movie, if I'd like it, well, this can help you guide it, or my opinions of it. This might help you guide to kind of my tastes, already starting with the repetition. But this is also, it's sort of my top personal horror movies, but they're also my top personal rewatchable. And I might retitle this as my top rewatchable horror movies, because these movies, they're just fun rides. They're not necessarily great, like, top tier movies as far as rating a movie as an art form, but my top 10, like, rewatchable, like, I can put it on and just watch it on any day. So that's an important part here. They're near and dear to me, most rewatchable, and a lot of them, and what kind of impressions they leave for me. I think that's very important for me, especially with this genre of movies. So let's get on this. I'm going to reserve the chat. I don't plan on this live stream for ongoing for too long, as this is a listing video as well. So people are going to look for this later. So, we don't want to ruin our first impressions right from the get-go. But after I talk through my top 10, I'll go over some comments and questions and cover those, and then that'll be it. And hopefully you'll have something to keep you busy over Halloween tomorrow. By the way, Halloween Monster Art Contest due in 2 days. You can submit your stuff then. And if you need any extra time, just message me. We can always extend or meet your needs. We can certainly work on that. All right, guys. Sorry, guys. Where did that come from? Monsterites! As my starting with number 10, and these will be time-stamped later. I am also recording just in case the stream has lags and it's not good quality. If it's bad quality, this will be re-uploaded, so we might lose all your live stream commentary. So if you don't see that, that's because I had to put up the recorded version of this live stream. And I did do low latency for the live stream so that we can have quicker back and forth, so there's less lag between us talking. It might lower the quality of the live stream, but what's more important, plus I'm just showing images here, and you don't need to see this so clearly anyway. You don't want to see the truth. Let's go with number 10. And number 10, I don't want to say to satisfy, because we got a huge werewolf community, right? Watching us here. We got a lot of werewolves here. We love our wolfies. I'll spoil the rest of the list. This is the only werewolf movie on this list. It's a newer one, and it is The Wolfman 2010. Let's jump to that. I really hope I don't close any windows by accident or spoil anything ahead, but those are the excitements of live streaming. So, The Wolfman 2010, anytime people say there's just been a lot of crap werewolf movies lately, and there has been a lot through the last 3 decades. There's been a ton. Some of the best ones came out in the early 80s, right? We all know those. But one I love to refer people to when they do say that we haven't had any good werewolf movies is The Wolfman 2010. Now, this for rewatchability is okay for me. As a movie, I wouldn't say it's an amazing movie, but it's a good movie, and it's a good werewolf movie. It's definitely, even if you love, Dogman and Werewolf of London, and, well, Van Helsing's not really a werewolf movie, but everybody loves that werewolf. So, what was the point I was making? See, that's what happens going live. But what was I saying? It's also not a werewolf, the wild, wolfy kind of werewolf. It's the Wolfman. And then it's the remake of the 1941 The Wolfman, or Wolfman. I believe it was 1941. So it's a kind of a remake of it. It's got great actors. It has Benicio del Toro. It has Anthony Hopkins. It was tricky putting it on the list. It felt like somewhat of a honorable mention because it's not completely horror. It's sort of horror / monster movie / dark movie. But it is, I was contemplating this, and I do consider it a horror because it has some jump scares, quality jump scares, and not overdone. And so it does have that, and it's horror by nature because of the werewolf theme and everything, but it's certainly probably more so even maybe a monster movie, although that's a very shady and unclear genre. And it has these 2 wonderful actors, great acting, great cinematography, a good mix of practical and CGI, maybe a little bit too much CGI, but who was the skipping my name, the creator, the special effects man, the master, the long-haired, white-haired fellow. He definitely preferred doing practical on this, but it wasn't completely his call, unfortunately. So anyway, great movie. Because of those reasons, goes on the 10th place here, and I just had to get a werewolf movie in here somewhere, right? And I think this one, I'm not saying it's the best werewolf movie or the scariest, but I think it deserves to be seen, and I think it can definitely be, it's certainly rewatchable. One of the scenes I love in it are between the 2 werewolves, and they're just battling it out like 2 gorillas. I love the beast-like aspect they added to their whole attitude toward each other. It was very cool. That's near the ending. A little bit of a spoiler, but not really. Okay, let's move on to number 10 here. I already spent a little bit too much time. If I would have prepared this a little better, I would have put a timer here so that I can manage myself better so I don't get into things too far and too long. Next one, with number 9, let's put this image up. Let's let you guys guess. Since we're live, that's one of the fun things about this process. So what do you think is this movie? It's a Stephen King's, and it's very rewatchable for me. Like Stephen King's movies, there's always some crazy personalities in it, and I find it very enjoyable. A lot of these movies I like movies when they have a little bit of an underlying lesson in them, something about humanity or something like that. And this one has a very strong lesson about brainwash and how, as I always say, when you got a person at your job or somewhere that has a big mouth, don't underestimate those people. Even if they're complete idiots, whatever, people with a big mouth can have a lot of influence over other people. People love to follow by nature. This movie shows it very well. It's got, again, written by Stephen King, so if you know his works, you know somewhat what to expect there. It's got the mystery of the mist, and a very important aspect to me that I'll chat about after I've got the whole list done, and that is the ending. No spoilers there. I'm not going to spoil that because that's that just wraps the movie up so beautifully for me is the ending. So very rewatchable for me because great dialogue, great things going on between the people. So not just the monsters. If you can do a horror or monster movie where the dialogue keeps you synced in, it makes for just a good movie. We're not just talking about monsters and special effects now. All right, next we got number 8. All right, this was a tricky one here. It's a new one. I want to get some new stuff in, and we've been doing all right with new stuff, amazingly. And it is Hereditary 2018. Oh, let's get to that image. I should have shown this one's great. Love that. Love that. If you've seen it, you know what's going on here. If you haven't, you're still like, what's going on here? The only GIF on the list and surely deserves to be here. Hereditary is awesome. What did it for me, what completed it for me was, again, the ending. When I saw the ending, I was like, all right, I need to rewatch this whole thing now again because I'm really liking where it headed to. So it's a 2018 movie, newer. It's just a good horror movie. It's not full of crappy jump scares. If there's a jump scare, it's quality, and there's just good scary it's a creepy movie. And that's hard for me to say about a lot of movies. I don't find any slashers really too creepy. I find them violent, but not too creepy or scary. This one has some moments. Great acting, great character kind of development, and just how many levels it kind of goes through the movie. It's the nice changes it goes through. And I think that's very important for rewatchability so that you start to forget parts of it because there's so many things going on. And there's not that much to it, but there's enough to where you're going to forget things, and some things are just temporary in the movie, like the daughter. And yeah, certainly because of that, it deserves or earns some rewatchability. So huzzah to Hereditary. Very well done. I just watched this one recently to make sure if I need to put it on this list. And I made a huge list. I looked up all these horror movies over my lifespan and also made a list of horror movies I want to watch this year. I'd love to share that here, but that would just make for too long of a video. Too long. All right. Let's go with number 7. Let's put up the image first. Let's see if you guys can guess it. Ooh, love that image. That was a good quick catch. Good quick catch for this live stream. Anytime my voice goes out or something, please just spam the comment, the live stream, and say it. I'm not going to catch up and read all the comments during the live stream. I'll just read whatever's live at the end. But you can trust that after the live stream's done, I'm going to look through everything. I'm just that curious. And I love the community that we've built together and all that. So, and there's a lot of people I recognize in the comments. So obviously I'm going to scroll back and rewatch this probably the whole stream with reading your stuff, and I might even reply to you in the comments. Okay, so this is, if you haven't guessed yet, it is from 2015, The Witch. I just somewhat recently, that's a very subjective word, watched or made a video on the top scariest witches of movies. The top scariest / top monstrous witches. There's a particular look I was looking for, that kind of stereotypical Halloween witch. And a little bit of spoilers, but obviously this is somewhere on that list. The Witch, 2015. I love this movie. From first time seeing it, seeing portions of it, the acting, the story, this is a movie done right, where people shouldn't separate when they like a monster movie that's in the theaters and say, yeah, it'd be great without the humans in it. That shouldn't be the case. That just means the movie's not that great. The monsters are great design, the artists did a great job, but the movie's not that great. A movie's great when everything's complete. The characters are interesting enough. They're not all teenagers doing incredible things that security just wouldn't allow in this day and age, or any day and age on Earth amongst humanity. So this movie has a lot of dialogue between the people, has the other more monstrous horror aspect, but everything is just so well done. You just want to watch it, and definitely earns rewatchability. I love this. I love that this came out 2015. I didn't know about this till like maybe 2-3 years ago. Where was I? Great movie. Now Hereditary, because I definitely had this above Hereditary in my memory, but then I rewatched Hereditary recently. I think Hereditary's just, it's good. I think this tickles my fancy a little bit more. But I can certainly see those two somewhat new movies, 2018 and 2015, interchangeable. And again, this list is for my feelings right now. This list can change next year. If I do this for the next Halloween, pre-Halloween live stream, I want to change this list up. So I don't want this like my ultimate top, because I want to shout things out too for people to check out. So this will be an adaptive list. So they don't take this as a engraved in stone top 10 Arthur's horror list. There's a lot of near and dear things, but things can shift around. Next, let's go with number 6. Number 6. Let's put it, oh, you're gonna know this if you've seen this. All right, ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Guess what it is? Guess it? I'll look at that live stream real quick. Let's see how that latency is. I haven't streamed much with low latency. Let's see if anybody's picking up on it. What movie is it? That's right. Ted got it. That's right. You get the eyelid of Carrie's corpse. That's what you get, Ted. It is Carrie from 1976. Stephen King. Yeah. This might just be my favorite Stephen King movie. Spoiler, I don't have Misery on here. I love Misery. That might be on the list in maybe another time. I love Misery. But this may just be one of my top of his, if not the top. I love Carrie. It's such a, the whole thing of Carrie is the revenge of it, right? The sweet revenge. It's the sweetest revenge. Well, actually, there's another movie on here. Let's see if you can guess it before I get to it. A little higher on the list that I feel has a lot of connection with Carrie. And so, yes, it has this, the characters are in it are very strong, as in Stephen King's writing. And it is Stephen King. If it's not Stephen King's, catch me right away. It's possible I can make a mistake on that, but I'm quite sure. It's just things happen. Things happen with the brain during live streams. What else can I say about it? Strong characters, some crazy characters, very, again, relatable to The Mist, which is Stephen King's. We got these strong, I'll just say, it's not really a spoiler, religious types. And that I think to a horror movie, strong indoctrinated religious types, really, because it makes it relatable, historically relatable, and that means even freakier as a concept to add to horror movies. Carrie does it beautifully. Don't watch the newer crap out there. Carrie 1976 is the way to go. And I was just going to say, this actress, what a job she did. Her mother, the teacher, everybody. But that actress, this image here, if you've seen this movie, you know what's up with this image. It's a pretty crappy image, but it's also very, very empowering. So sweet revenge is my key tag for this movie. Let's go with the next one. What else do we... I hope you guys are having a great time out there. Any plans for Halloween? You don't need special plans. Just go home, just stay at home and watch some great horror movies like these. Put on some makeup, some wild makeup, dress up kind of funky. You don't need to show anybody else that you're dressed. Do it for yourself. Get crazy. All right, number 5. Number 5. All right, here we go. Let's start with an image. There we go. Anybody? Can anybody guess? 3, 2, and 1. This is 28 Days Later. Now, that's right, Ted, you got it again. The master. 28 Days Later is awesome. It has that, what's the word? Not raspy. I had it here. the rusticiness, the roughness that American movies aren't known for. It's hard for them to do that. This movie has it, because it's not an American movie, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure, unless it is, but it feels very un-American production-wise. So it has that. It's a bit more, it's just rougher around the edges, and having infecteds in it, what a nice mix. Now, I love, and I know a lot of people feel oversaturated with zombies. Some people find them boring. I'm just saying zombie as the general term for these kind of creatures or beings. I love zombie stuff, okay? I'm going to be upright with it because I love a lot of monsters, and the more unhuman they are, the more I sometimes love them. But zombies in movies, Walking Dead, I love them. It's something about it that it's not just the monster aspect of it. It's about the relatability. It's about the changes in people and society, the decisions you have to make, the psychological stuff. It's very entertaining for me, very intriguing, and just I love a movie where you finish the movie and you just keep thinking about it. You go to bed and you just imagine it. This movie certainly gave me that feeling. Good zombie movies will. Anyway, I can talk on this forever. In short, I tried to limit my zombie-ish submissions. So I limited them to 2, but they're not both zombie-ish because this is infected, right? Did I make any notes on this? No, this is just a from beginning to end. This is a ride, and it's one of those few movies where part 1 is just as almost, if not as good, or if not as good as its part 2. Part 2 of this movie, 28 weeks later, is awesome. It's got an even more intense beginning. Oh, if you just watch the beginning of the second one, this one has a great beginning too. No spoilers, but I mean, the whole world's kind of looking dead. I really like that feeling. I really like that feeling of, am I the only one left? That really hits something for me. Even in dreams. What a ride that is. Okay. Let's move along now. Now, the next one is the next sort of relatable movie. Here we go. Well, the title's right there. No questions about it. I have to put this one up. This list is, I think we can all agree, very unpredictable. I would have to say, because it's very personal. Personal things will be very unpredictable by nature. Now, this is more of a real zombie movie. This is Night of the Living Dead, 1990, I believe. Where's my scroller here? Oh, there we go. All right. Got to see the doctor about this, you know. Night of the Living Dead, 1990. This movie, okay, it's probably, as far as the quality of a movie goes, the rating, I'm sure this shouldn't score as high, maybe compared to some already. Okay, I can totally admit to that. I accept it, whatever. I used to have a little tradition where every Christmas night, Christmas Eve or Christmas Day night, I don't know, one of those, every Christmas, I would watch this movie. I don't know why this one. It would always be in the playlist somewhere on whatever I was watching, especially at my parents' house in their whatever network they were with. And I'd always watch this, and I love it. This movie is, as far as only rewatchability, it's probably one of the top here. If not the top one on this very list. So it could be the top number 1 out of 10 as far as that goes. But this at number 4, that's pretty high. I had to put it up there because I've just seen it so many times and I could watch it so many times more. Unlike the previous one, 28 Days Later, this is actual undead zombies, whereas 28 Days is more of those infected types or, yeah, creatures. But these are the undead, but they're also that slow type, right? So it's not like about intensity, this movie, but it is certainly creepy. I think still, maybe it's how zombies translate to me, but there's certainly creepier aspects, even though they're not in good as quality as newer stuff. They do move slowly, and that's sort of, that concept is approached in the movie. It's not like ignore, like they're really slow, oh, we have to run. No, it's like it's understood in the movie. There are some cringy parts, I gotta say, like the country folk, the young couple country folk. That's probably the worst part of the movie, is that little couple. But they're a key important aspect or part to the plot. But everything else, ooh, and the ending, you know that it might be overdone. But I think this movie did it beautifully. Is the whole concept of finally we're the monsters, humanity's the worst monster, that thing that some things overdo. I haven't seen it that overdone, but I could see newer projects overdoing it and just not well. This movie, for me, did it beautifully. I love the ending. I love how it shows everything. I love the character change. This should be in the same genre as Terminator 2. No, Terminator 1. Let me explain what particular thing. Terminator 1 and Predator. Is it Predator? No, not Predator. Terminator 1. What's the other movie? And Alien. Terminator 1 and Alien. You have these strong, those were like when stronger female characters started to be presented in movies, and you have this great change in character, like in Terminator 1, with the female actress, the protagonist, and in Alien, how they shift from being a, more scared, kind of mundane human, and then adjusting to the realities. This movie has that as well. She's awesome. She definitely goes through that change very clearly. I would certainly love to add that into that circle, whatever shall we call it. Let's move along now. So this is my Christmas tradition. That's why this got so many rewatches. I love this movie, and I don't think people bring it up much. Maybe it's just that was on TV, so it spoke to me differently. I know the black and white one might even be rated higher. I'm not sure, but I certainly enjoy this one more than the older black and white one. That one's a bit dated and not as good as some other black and white horrors, in my opinion. But this one definitely speaks to me. All right, next one. Let's see which image did I go with. All right, it's out. It's out of the bag. No guesses there. Another newer one. That's why I like to add these newer ones, because I think the older stuff, plus I wanted to make my list of movies that don't usually get covered. Like how many, I forgot, but there's so many lists you'll see out there that you'll see the main movies, and movies everybody knows. I didn't want that either. And that's not necessarily the most rewatchable for me either. Silent Hill 2006 at number 3. At number 3, Silent Hill. This movie did things. They did it beautifully. It's a newer movie. I'm really excited to showcase things here that are newer than the year 2000. Because in my head, when I think of like top movies and all this, I don't usually think anything newer. So when I do have things that make it this high, I really love to showcase it, because I'm proud that good stuff has come out and is still coming out. Silent Hill, when it came out, it was great. That's the first time I think I saw Pyramid Head. And it's a redo of him, but they did do him justice. Anybody that loves Pyramid Head from the video game from which this is inspired can't say anything really negative about the Pyramid Head of this one, of the movie. They did the franchise justice. I have so many things in it work that I want to dedicate a whole video to how Silent Hill works, the movie. But then again, I could make a video like that about every video or movie here. If you like me going into more rambling and talks like this, I do that more on the Patreon. Don't want to push it here, but I do want to keep the World of Monsters main channel clean. So other stuff like that, if somebody wants me to review something like a movie, I usually keep it to there just to keep our shows steady on our playlist of the channel. Now, this movie, what does it have? Some of the things it has going for it: the fear factor, the action horror. So it's an action, it's a horror, but it's kind of an action just done right. It has the right bits of everything. It's entertaining. It moves along. It's creepy and scary. How can you fit scary? Scary is very hard for some producers and directors to fit into an idea. Like Venom. Venom's not really scary. They didn't want to do scary. Maybe Todd McFarlane wants to do it scary. I'm really curious how that's going to work out because it's a Marvel character. How do you do things? It's very challenging to make something like that entertaining, superhero-esque or anti-hero, and scary at the same time. Silent Hill did it. One of the things that I love so much about the movie is the whole changes. Not a big spoiler, but when everything starts to kind of melt down because it's getting burnt and the change goes, the cycle that goes around, I don't know, every few hours, everything starts to go down, the music gets stronger, and then a huge bass sound falls down and everything gets silent. And then you know that crap's about to happen. Keeping it clean, for all the viewers out there. But things are going to go down. And just that bass signifies it. And you as a viewer already know that. And you can imagine being there and just looking for a place to hide because, yeah, everything happened. The movie makes the bass sound too, but there's that siren in the movie, right? So that setup, I simply love that. I haven't seen that. If there's another movie that has done something like that idea, please mention it in the comments. I will, or in the live stream or in the comments, I will look over everywhere and I'll read that. Because that little formula they added of that cycle in the movie, that is genius. That fit for me so well. It's not that major of an idea, but it works beautifully. I love that part. This movie also has another part. So what did I already cover, do you think, that kind of, you can see parts of that in here if you have seen this movie, especially the ending. Because with the ending, I was going to say this movie is a mix of, let's see, what are you guys saying? Okay, don't get distracted. I was going to say, this is like Hellraiser and Carrie put together. But I can't say that because that's not the whole movie. That's more of the ending, a little bit of a spoiler. Carrie plus Hellraiser, sweet revenge. If you want a good horror with that sweet, that's why people, I've talked about this in werewolf videos and my psychology of Venom. People love that inner powerful character they have that they keep down. That's why they love Hulk. That's why people love Venom and Werewolf, things like that, where you can unleash yourself. Sometimes get that sweet revenge. Sometimes make that reaction that you had in your mind only hours later. You're like, oh, damn, I should have said that. Well, that's what these movies, these concepts present beautifully. And Silent Hill, the ending, everything in it. It's such a dreary, yeah, and that's how the games are. And all right. So moving on, it certainly didn't destroy the game's name, and that's very, very awesome. It's certainly one of the best video game movies out there. That could be a great another list for me to do my favorite video game inspired movies. This is certainly, if not the top one, top three or top two. Okay, next one. So very rewatchable for me. Now I'm going to the king of rewatchability. You're not going to know this. I think the title is going to be up. Let's see. No, it isn't. Let's see if anybody can guess this. If you've talked to me at all in a chat, anywhere, I very often bring this movie up. If anybody says, what's a horror movie you like, Arthur? Maybe I haven't seen. What can you suggest? This is my number one go-to for suggestions because not many people like it. And when they have seen it, I just see somebody mention that that's John Calder. Yep. Just mentioned it. Yep, in the comment there. So, this is Dagon from 2001. Such an entertaining ride. I have to keep... This is number 2. Remember, number 2 out of 10 on my list. Ever since... This is 2001. I found this movie maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Where has it been all my life? Where has it been all my life? when I found this movie, that's how I felt. Ever since I first saw it some years ago, I can rewatch this movie every week and I'll enjoy it. And it's a lower budget. It's not totally low budget. It's a lower budget movie, but they don't need much. You don't need that much, right? Okay, aside. It's a lower budget movie, but it's number 2. It just surprises me. I have these high budget movies. I mean, like Hereditary, these newer things. Again, movies might switch around. This is just my feels right now this year and what I wanted to present you guys with. But Dagon, Lovecraftian, it's a ride from beginning to end. I enjoy it so much. And it's not just me and my significant other, and she's not that deep into all this monstrous realm as I am. Of course, she's not quite anatomically as monstrous as me, so, the bloodline's more human on her side. But she loves rewatching this too. Dagon has something about it, some charm about it, some horror-esque, monstrous charm about it. I can just watch it over and over. It's not that long of a movie. That probably helps. But again, from not huge budget, it's Lovecraftian, but from beginning to end, it's just a ride. It doesn't stop. It doesn't take too many breaks. But it's not like an action thing where it's just action. It's like you get into it, you feel it. It's creepy, a little scary. There's some cool moments, some gory moments in the ending, and that's something I'll talk more about. So as far as this being a top 10 rewatchability list, my most rewatchable movies, I would probably have to say Dagon is, at this point, number 1. So for that, this goes number 1. I think my number 1 movie on this list is it's a better, more wholesome horror movie than this. But as far as rewatchability, I don't know if any of them beat it. I mean, I'd probably have seen Night of the Living Dead more than all of these, but that's because I found it earlier in life. If I had found Dagon, So Dagon, and number 2 from 2001. All right, Monstrites, ready for number 1? Before we jump into number 1, we're going to do some honorable mentions. Only 3. There are so many honorable mentions. I just want to put them right now, but I don't want to give the attention to them. I want to keep the attention to everything. There's so many good ones. So for a future list, I don't want to overpopulate the honorable mentions. So only 3 honorable mentions. No order there. I'm going to start with, not this one. Where does that disappear? Oh, that's why. Right here. And it is, let's put it up. That's going to be a harder one to guess. It's kind of one of those Coke classic. Cold. My goodness. Has it really been that long? 38 minutes. I got to hurry up. It's kind of a cult classic as well. This is Dead Alive. Originally known as, yes, who got that? That was Rain. Rain, you got it. Dead Alive, also, or originally known as Brain Dead, 1992. In America, it was known as Dead Alive. Do you know who directed this? A fellow partner in crime reminded me of this fact. This was directed by Peter Jackson. That's right, Peter Jackson. If you don't remember, don't recall, or know who that is, that's who directed Lord of the Rings and The Hobbits and some other great stuff. He did this. This was one of his earlier projects. And this, why is it in honorable mentions? Well, because it's not completely horror. It's a horror comedy. Can you think of another known horror comedy, especially a cult classic? TikTok? All right. It's Evil Dead. Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, right? Those are very known. And so this is a very rewatchable. For me personally, this is more rewatchable than Evil Dead, Army of Darkness. I do enjoy those a lot, but there's something not in it that's that rewatchable for me that I just want to keep rewatching. And I know a lot of people love them, and I don't blame you for that. I do love them. Just again, the rewatchability, that's a different flavor in the spices. This movie has it, and it's it's because it's like overly gory. Peter Jackson takes it to another level of goriness where it just gets funny and fun, and the movie's pretty aware of it. Again, like Army of Darkness and the newer Evil Dead, especially. So if you love those, if you're looking for something kind of fun to watch, not just like scary and dark and, just something more fun, Dead Alive. Again, it's in honorable mentions because I wouldn't regard it completely as a horror. Like all the other movies have more of a fear factor. This one really doesn't. So very fun movie to watch. It's a ride. Okay, next one is... All right, let's pull it up. It is right there. And you all know what it is. And you can probably understand why I didn't put this movie as in the top 10. This is Interview with a Vampire. So Dead Alive was 1992. Interview of a Vampire, 2 years later, Interview with the Vampire. Okay, with the Vampire. Interview with the Vampire, 1994. It's not in my top 10 because it's not really a horror. It's horror because it has vampires and it's dark, but there's no scary things really in it. There's horror aspects. So it's a horror drama. So it just wasn't horror enough to be on my just horror movies. Very rewatchable for me, in my opinion. Great mix of actors in it. Awesome plot. For me, as far as all these movies, this, if you take all the movies I'm talking about today, this might be one of the top just as a movie for me. So if you just want a good horror-esque movie, but that's just a good movie, this might be my number one. I'm not sure as far as just being a complete, well-done movie. Interview with a Vampire. That's why it's an honorable mentions, because it's not that horror-esque. It's more drama, but with the horror aspect. So, and the third one for honorable mentions, oh my goodness, I love this one. I love this one so much. And please, first of all, after I mention it, don't Google this image. Don't Google anything about it. I don't want to ruin it for you. This is a John Carpenter movie. This is a movie that I share the most. When I meet someone and they're like, do you have any movie to recommend? I always say, have you seen They Live, 1988? That's my most shared movie. Whenever I hang out with someone, meet someone, and I have to turn on a movie and they haven't seen it, They Live is my number one. If there's a list like that to what movie I would most push to show you when you come over or something, no matter what interest you have, you might be an accountant and have no interest in monsters, whatever. If you come over and you're like, what movie? They Live. Because it has all those ties in of like underground conspiracies, the whole reptilian thing. And I don't want to spoil. And do not Google it, because as soon as you Google They Live, you see like the main point. And god damn, that ruins everything. Never Google it. Just when you get a chance, get the movie. If you do Google it, fair enough. I mean, it's a 1992 movie. No, this is a 1988 movie. The budget is so-so in it. Some things have aged, unfortunately, in it. But the plot, the theme of it, ooh. And why is it in the honorable mention? Because it's not really horror. To be honest, I really wanted to get it on the list. It has horror aspects, so don't get me wrong here. It's not completely shouldn't belong here, but I have to share this movie. I told you it's my number one I have to share with people. I have to throw it at them, so I have to get it in here either way. Next time it won't be here anymore probably, but rewatchability. I've rewatched this so many times, not just for myself, but because I show it to so many people, so I've rewatched it. So it has very high rewatchability. What goes on in this movie is akin to what did it great was The Matrix. Remember when you've seen The Matrix the first time? That whole mind-bending, the whole twist, the reveal? This was the one that did it originally. They Live, I've seen this since childhood. It started getting more popular over the last 2 decades when conspiracy ideas started coming up and people would refer to They Live. So it started gaining popularity. As it justly should, but I've seen this since childhood. I have always loved it. I love that reveal. Not many movies have done it. Not many have done it right. And Matrix has, but then again, Matrix isn't that horror. So this is a horror, sci-fi, suspense, action. Put that all together. And yes, it has totally cringy 80s parts and funny. And even this picture right here refers to the funniest scene in the movie. I don't know if they almost wanted it to be funny, but it's just so overdone in a cringy, goofy way. I love this movie. It has character. It has charm. It has personality. You have to see They Live. If I'm going to recommend anything that you have to see, not horror or anything, any genre, that's it. That's my honorable mention. Let's move on to number 1. This has been going for a while. How the hell can I get this to 10 minutes? Unbelievable, Arthur. Unbelievable. Number 1. Here we go. Let's do a picture reveal. Oh, yes. Good. I didn't put the title. Anybody know what this is? I talk about it a lot too. If you talk to me directly, then you will know. Let's see. I'll give it 5 seconds. 5, 4... Don't Google it. No cheating. 3. Ah, damn, I got a website on there. And the image. Are you? At least it looks like it's Polish, so I feel better supporting some Polish websites. Huzzah and dobry wieczór and dzień dobry to my Polish brethren out there. Okay, Mouth of Madness. Yes! Besides, who got that? Who got that? Rain, beautiful. Heroes, Tumbas. Yes. This guy's is from 1994. Ooh, same year as Interview with a Vampire. That's why this has less acclaim. That's why this is less known. Because Interview with the Vampire with Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise and Antonio came out. So of course that made all the noise and took all the attention. But they came out in the same year, 1994. What a year. If you were born in that year, huzzah to you. Wasn't Terminator 2 around at 94 or 92? What a damn year. Okay. In the Mouth of Madness, 1994, this is another John Carpenter. So the same like actually They Live. That's John Carpenter as well. Although this is I don't know. John Carpenter. I've seen this also since childhood. I have this as my number 1 here. So if this were a list of my recommendations of horror movies, I would put this as number 1. If I have to say the ones that are most rewatchable for me, probably Dagon, Silent Hill. This one's very rewatchable for me too. Don't get me wrong. It's just over the years, I haven't watched it that much. So I'm wondering, I'm going to watch it probably again tonight. It's definitely rewatchable. Hence it's also on this list. But just as being as a good horror movie, especially unknown, compared to all this other stuff out there, all these, you'll see The Shining on a lot of lists, right? A lot of slashers, but you never hear about In the Mouth of Madness. It's creepy, great actor. We got Sam Neill here. I love Sam Neill. Come on, Jurassic Park, and one of my favorite movies. Let me say it. I didn't know if I would bring this up. T2 was in 1992. Cool, thanks for that note. Just a shout out to another movie. I wasn't going to mention any other movie outside of this list, but Merlin. The BBC? No, the Hallmark production. It was a miniseries of 2 parts. He plays Merlin, Sam Neill. My goodness, how I love their narration and storytelling of that movie. Moment, just for a quick shout out. And now back to In the Mouth of Madness. So great actors, great acting, great theme, and some stuff that was new for me. And I'm going to talk, should I talk about that now? We are kind of done here. It presented the ending. I think as a child, I grew up seeing too many happy endings. And it's not that I wasn't for it, but when I saw a movie like this, where the ending wasn't just a happy ending that you'd expect in any movie, that really spoke to me. I think the ending is very important. I'll get back to that in a moment. So the ending definitely made this, because ever since I first saw this as a kid, I've always remembered this movie, always offered it to people, because there weren't many horrors that I would recommend to people. There's like horror monsters I love, Hellraiser, and concepts, but as far as a full movie, there wasn't much where I'd say, oh, you gotta watch this. Now there are many, but this one always was on the tip of my tongue. All right, it's creepy, it's Lovecraftian, and great childhood impressions, and my introduction to this sort of ending. Now, the thing this one has in common with the other top 10, number 2, so remember what number 2 was? Number 1, In the Mouth of Madness. Number 2, I had as Dagon. They're both Lovecraftian. I had no idea about what or who Lovecraft was when I was a kid. I didn't know that much about Lovecraft, to be honest. I heard the term, the name, but not that much until some years ago. They're both Lovecraftian influence. I love the Lovecraftian theme, and Dagon has it, and this is a beautiful tribute to Lovecraft type of work. So now let's go over everything backwards. So let me see, what was I going to mention here at the end? I don't have much time to look at comments, so I am going to reply to stuff. Let's be active in the chat section. I'd love to see your list of movies. How do you feel about my list? Is it similar to your tastes? I love that, that taste connection you can have with, aesthetics or movies, things like that. So let me know in the comments. I'll chat with you more over there, and know that I will always read your comment. I might not reply, but I always read it. And I usually show that by hitting that heart button, just to let you know that I read it and I liked it. So I might just do that. I probably won't jump into the live chat right now, but a quick overview of my choices. And what I wanted to say here is, let's see. And again, if you guys love movie reviews, if you want to see a toy review, if you want to just chat movies or something, unboxings, I do that kind of stuff on Patreon. One, of course, to keep it exclusive and rewarding to the patrons, because that's awesome that somebody can support you in that way. So, and it's very affordable, especially access to seeing extra content like this where I do reviews. So just saying that, but I do want to keep that, again, separated from the main channel. So the main channel is just professionally green screen done completed videos, none of this rambling stuff. That's why I do it, and that's why it goes to Patreon, for a couple of reasons: to keep it off of here, and as a reward, and as a great thank you to supporters. Now, supporters are everybody, right? You watching right now are a supporter. You chatting right now are an awesome supporter. So moving on. Okay, so I'm going to talk a quick overview over my list. And what do I have to say? Let me see here. Dark. Okay, so I already mentioned the Lovecraftian part. I think that's only in those top 2 movies. Another thing I noticed, and I've mentioned that already, is if you look at all these movies, okay. Oh, crap. All right. Here we go. They all have, most of them, I think 98% of the movies I just talked, the whole list has endings that are not just happy-go-lucky endings, like a happily ever after. I think that's very important to me. For example, let's go over real quick if you've watched these or know something. I don't want to spoil, and of course, talking about the ending spoils. If you've seen this movie, you know the ending's dark, twisted. If you know Lovecraft's work, you can imagine what kind of ending it is, and I love it. Just keyword insanity. I don't think we see enough insanity in movies, and in horror themes, we don't see enough craziness where somebody starts losing their mind. And I think that's part of the Lovecraft stuff that I love. The psychology, the mentality of it. Seeing stuff that you can't imagine. Losing your mind. I think that's such a powerful and fascinating and relatable topic that definitely should be in horrors a lot more. Don't just throw in some killer or cool monster or whatever. Let's add, let's make it more interesting. So this has a cool dark ending. This has kind of a fun ending. It's positive, but it's, a little twisted for sure. This one is a little bit twisted of an ending. I don't remember this one's ending. I think it was pretty messed up and twisted. This one's got a twist to it. Ugh, it's too brief, this ending. I wish it was longer, but I love where it went. Silent Hill. The ending here, yes, dark and dreary. I mean, if you know the games, they're all dark endings. And I realized, damn, what influences my impression of a good horror or dark movie is the ending. And I realize it's because the last impression you're left with after you've watched the movie, the last feeling. And for me, it sticks in my memory so strong. And I love that they took that risk to make a dark ending. I really appreciate those. This, not necessarily a negative ending, but a dark ending and a lesson learned ending. I love the ending. I love the ending probably of all these. This one has a superb ending. Oof. Gritty. Happy ending here. I can say it straight. For the most part. It's still not clear. That's why there's a part 2. Cool dark ending, right? If you've seen it. Hereditary as The Witch. That's why these 2 movies, Hereditary, I put them together for this movie so I can talk with them interchangeably. Hereditary and The Witch, 2 newer, awesome horror movies, great dark endings. Great dark endings. When I saw The Witch, I already loved going through. Then when I saw the ending, I was like, okay, I'm in love with it. Hereditary, I was kind of enjoying it. When I saw the ending, I was like, okay, this movie is cool. And then I rewatched. So, yeah. Well done with these newer movies. Huzzah to those producers and everything. Oh, The Mist. See what I'm talking about? My endings? Look at The Mist. A lot of people don't like depressing endings. They might horrors, but they might just not like depressing endings. I tend to love them. It depends. They're not really depressing. They're just dark. They're so dramatic. The Mist has probably the most dramatic ending of this list. The Mist's ending, adds another level for me to the movie. I can watch the whole movie. If it went end differently, I'd be like, that was cool. Okay, some interesting character interaction. But with that ending, I'm like, okay, I gotta add it to this list. This movie is on this list because of the ending. And it's a very short ending, but I liked that twist, that craziness. Typical ending here. So I think 3 movies out of these had more of a normal ending. The rest all had something that just is dramatic, impactful, weird, creepy, crazy, and will stick with you. That's it. If you watch this later, everything's timestamped by number, no spoilers. Thank you for supporting the channel, watching this channel. If you enjoyed this, I do want to make it a tradition to have live streams on Halloween or pre-Halloween. This is my first. Hopefully we can continue this every single year. I just haven't been able to previously. And the other theme, guys, we've been going almost 8 years now, our Halloween Monster Art Contest. This is our 7th year. So those are due in 2 days. So that's exciting. We have big judges. Look at that video. We have 5 judges this year. It's going to be wild, and it's going to be exciting to see what kind of golems, what kind of oceanic golems you've come up with. That's it, folks. Thank you for watching. I can't wait to read all your live stuff. There's Dio saying hi. Let me just glance real quick. Double Dandy says The Mist was a good movie. It sure was. Very rewatchable. Also, another one that's very rewatchable for me. I wasn't going to mention other movies, but it has the feels of The Mist, is the newer, what is it? With the tripod aliens, and the aliens and the ships. Come on now. War of the Worlds. That's very rewatchable for me too. And very cool parts. I would almost throw this in here as an honorable mention. I think in the next, if I do this list again, I'll throw that in there. Shape. Oh, I thought you were going to say something with Shape of Water. Oh, Antlers. Antlers, I guess, is already out. I thought it's coming out today. Let's check out Antlers, guys. One of my most anticipated movies this year. Let's hope it didn't get screwed. I haven't seen too much. Let's hope it's good. The Mist was a good movie. Dagon was kind of happy. Yeah, Dagon was a happy ending, but a twist, right? So happy endings are fine as long as it's not too mundane. Let's say it. So there's Dio. Hello, Raincrawler. Susan Dolan. It was filmed in London 28 days later. Yep, it's a British movie. It's got that British grittiness. That's the word I was looking for. British movies and some European movies have a great thing that they're gritty. The comedy's gritty, and some people don't like they're too into, they've been, maybe they enjoy the American movies more, or comedy or horror, but there's something about European or British grittiness, even like Monty Python with their comedy. I appreciate it very much, and just that mix that went into 28 Days Later was awesome, and I'd like to see more movies like that. Very intense movie, and I love the start of part 2. I would also love to see a list of your 10 horror comedians. Yeah, that would be an awesome list to make. Top 10 horror comedies. Some cool stuff there. And hey, by the way, Gargamel, good to see you. Who else do we have? I'll just shout out some names and shut down. Heroes Tumbus. Already saw them earlier. And I didn't even see how many people we got watching, but thank you guys for liking. Thank you for enjoying. I'm just hoping this made this wonderful, colorful holiday more interesting and fun. And if you own a house, decorate. Show the spirit of Halloween. It's sad for me to drive around neighborhoods and not see much in Halloween decorations anymore. You don't have to deal with the trick-or-treaters if you don't have to, none of that, but show some love. Hang a skeleton, put a zombie in your yard, cut off somebody's head and throw it out there. Yeah, it's such a fun holiday, religious aspects or whatever aside. It's a Halloween. I always say, whether you're into monsters or not, it's just a fun holiday. It's very colorful. It's got a very strong character in it. The colors, the pumpkins, the melted wax from your childhood memory and digging up pumpkins and all this stuff. There's just so many nice aspects. Christmas has that too, for sure, and some other holidays may, but Halloween, it's just such a wonderful little tradition we can follow as humans and partake in somehow, if not alone, in solo. Thank you guys. Thank you, Monsterites. Ghouls and goblins. So out of ghouls and goblins, which are the female and which are the males? Well, it's 2021. We don't have to distinguish them. Anyway, have a wonderful Halloween tomorrow. Let me know what you're going to be doing, what you're going to be watching. What do you like, dislike on my list? How do you feel about my top 1? Math of Madness. I just really want to give it the recognition it deserves. Most rewatchable, probably Dagon on there. Silent Hill is pretty high, and Witch is going up high as well in Hereditary. So we'll see. We'll see in the future where we go. Let me know. And if you're a new subscriber or a new viewer, let me know. Say something in the comments. Let's chat. Let me see your opinion. Let me know if my opinion's terrible and I should have put The Shining somewhere and all that, which is a great movie too. It certainly deserves a place on this list. But this was my list for this year of 2021. Sayonara. Love you all. Stay monstrous, my friends. Let's end this live stream before it gets too nuts. Thanks for the support.